Welcome to the Black Girls Heal podcast, where we talk about changing unavailable relationship patterns, healing unresolved trauma, and building a healthy relationship with first you and then others. Every episode, we will talk about actionable advice that you can apply today to break unhealthy patterns and grow your self-worth. I'm Sheena Tubbs. Let's begin. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Black Girls Heal. I hope that this finds you well and that you are thriving wherever you are, however you are. So, in today's episode, I really wanted to talk to those of us who have been taking a break from building romantic partnerships specifically, and really working on getting your mind right, getting your soul right, getting your spirit right before you get out there and try again. And I want to really validate that experience. It's hard building relationships. It's hard to put yourself out there. It's hard to be out there in these dating streets and put a lot of hope and put a lot of energy into potentially meeting a partner and potentially finding someone that you feel could be a confidant, a companion, a soulmate. And I really want to validate that. And you could probably feel the and coming. Something that I've noticed that happens with the women that I work with and the women in our community is that we will take an extended period of time to be ready, quote unquote, to be ready to put ourselves out there, to meet people, to be open to love and relationships. And it's a concern that I have because what it seems like is that sometimes what can happen is that we'll take the period of self-reflection and self-healing to using it as a defense mechanism, to using it as a way to cope and push away these fears that we have of being heartbroken, of being rejected, of being played, of still ending up alone. So if I have a big fear that there's something wrong with me and that is not going to work out for me anyways, whether or not I say it out loud or not, I'm going to continue to make excuses that look really good on the outside that prolong me from actually truly trying to be in relationships with people and or even starting the process. So excuses like, and y'all have heard me talk about these excuses before, but excuses like, well, I just need to finish this project. I just started school. I'm working on my grad school degree. This isn't the right time. I just started a new job. I'm trying to build my business up and all of these things, when actually, if the truth was that your Mr. or Miss Perfect came to your doorstep right now, shining, glistening, smiling at you, right? Making you laugh, roses in hand. If you're not a roses girl, paintbrushes, whatever your thing is, in hand, ready to take you out and listen to you and hold your hand and comfort you and provide stress relief as you're getting your degree or working on your career or raising your kids, would you turn that person down? Chances are no. Chances are you would not. So it's not that you do not have time for relationships. It's really the fears that you have, the fears of disappointment, the fears of being let down, the fears of, again, those secret fears that there's something wrong with me and I could never find someone to be in relationship with and be in partnership with are actually true. It can't be true, or you can't find out that it's true if you don't ever try. So a lot of times we will just release it to hoping that one day when the time is right, that this person will magically show up on our doorstep like DoorDash, or we'll have a meet cute in a coffee shop. and we'll pick up a conversation and it'll go from there. But the problem is that typically what happens when we're in this state of fear and frozenness and wondering what if, or feeling like we're not enough, or feeling like things are not possible for us, we're living in this state of self-defense. We're living in a state of self-protectiveness. So even if someone wanted to talk to us, even if someone wanted to get to know us, either our radar is not on to even realize that someone is trying to make space and trying to be in our life. And if we do realize it, because we are operating from a place of fear and distrust and self-protectiveness, we make it really hard to actually get to know them. And if we do end up going on dates with them, that insecurity is still there. That disbelief that this could actually be that good. This disbelief that this will actually last, even if it is that good, right? And we can start to self-sabotage and create space and push people away who are really, really trying to love us. Okay? So here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about this fear of trying again, this fear of letting people in. I want to talk about taking the time that it takes between relationships to know that it's time for us to move forward and know that it's the right time. This is a set of questions that I get a lot from women who are breaking up, or women who are divorcing, and or had a really big, just left a narcissistic relationship or a really toxic relationship, and they're wanting to try again, but they don't know what's the right amount of time. But really what the question is how will I know when I'm safe? And you think that amount of time is what's going to help you know that it is safe to go back out there. So I want to talk about those things today. And I have some points here, but I'm probably just going to speak freely about this. So let me start with the first question that I hear a lot, or that I see women discuss a lot when it comes to working through these things. And that first question is, how long do I take, or how long is the right amount of time? And here's what I'm going to say to that. Breakups and relationship issues, especially if you operate as someone who battles with an intimacy disorder, which is what I teach here. I teach content for women who identify as love addicts, or love avoidance, or love anorexic, aka love deprived, or operating love deprivation, which are just really heightened states of having anxious attachment and avoidant attachment. Just the way that relationships and pain affects us and affects our functioning goes very, very deep, right? And so that's who this content is for. So because of that, and because of its connection to our trauma and how it manifests, it totally makes sense to me that it is so scary to get back out there, and it's so fearful to get back out there, because it feels very re-traumatizing every time this happens. Like every time a relationship doesn't work out, every time you feel abandoned again, that rejection doesn't just roll off your back in the same way that it seems like your friends do. Your friends may go through breakups, your friends may go through betrayals or heartbreaks, and they'll have their pain and they'll cry, but it seems like they recover faster or more whole than you do. And for you, instead of the crack being repaired, it just seems like it keeps piling on, right? So I want to validate that, and I understand that gets painful, and that gets hard, and that gets heavy. But time is not necessarily what you need to. There's no set time period, is what I want to say. There's no set time period, because whether or not it's a month or a year or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, if those wounds and if that pain and if those root causes have not been dealt with, it's going to be just as painful a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, which is what many of you have found. Many of you have found that you've waited a certain period of time, hoping that time will heal our wounds, and you're still the same person, and or you still keep attracting the same people, and or the same type of things continue to happen in the relationships no matter what amount of time is between, right? And that's what makes it feel very frustrating to you. That's what makes it feel like, well, then what's the fucking point? Like, what is the point of all this? I can do bad all by myself, right? I can just stay alone. And I acknowledge that fear, and what I want to say that hopefully is hopeful for you is, as frustrating as that experience has been, the truth is that you have had the keys to change that cycle inside of you this whole time. Because you being the common denominator is not the flaw. You are not the problem. It is the way that your trauma, it is the way that you have learned or not learned how to operate in relationships that has been the common pattern that needs to be rewired, that needs to be healed, that you need a new education around how you show up in relationships, how you pick people, how you treat yourself when you're triggered. What are actually red flags? A lot of times, and I said this in a live this week on social media, a lot of times we don't think that red flags are red flags. And it's because some behaviors have been normalized because of what has happened to us our whole life, or what we have seen our whole life. So there may be 3 or 4 things that we're like very clear, okay, that's bad. But there's a whole lot of other, and I know I'm cussing more of this episode because I'm not even really fired up yet. But there's a whole lot of fuck shit that happens that we are oblivious to. And it's not until we talk to other people, or we are working with someone who is actually trained in helping us see this stuff, that we're like, oh, that's actually a problem? Wait, that's not a good thing? Wait, what I said to them wasn't a healthy way to set boundaries? Sometimes women will tell me how they set boundaries with people and what they asked of them. And I'm like, okay, I get where you were going, but this is how you can actually help that conversation be more fruitful. This is actually how you can ask for what you want in a healthy way. This is actually instance number 10 with this person, and you communicating is actually reinforcing their bad behavior. So let's do this instead, right? But we don't know that because we are operating off of our best understanding of what's going on. Or our best understanding of what we should do based on our own experiences, and based of all this mixing and matching of education and blog posts and YouTube videos and memes and books that we're all trying to put together to try to fix it on our own, when really we need to get outside of our head to get outside support, because we can only see as far as our own perspectives, right? That's why therapists exist. That's why coaches exist. That's why, healers exist, to help us break these cycles. So going back to the question, if the question is, how do I know when it's the right time to try again? It's the right time to try when you are ready to no longer waste time. If you are ready to have a change in your relationships a year from now, you start the process now, today. You started yesterday. You do not wait until you are potentially about to meet somebody, or you just met somebody and you are all Google-eyed about them, because by that point, you're still bringing your old patterns and your whole way of seeing the world and your whole way of seeing life, and your potential inability to see that this person may or may not have some red flags with you into this partnership, right? You start now. You start when you are at a place where you are considering, what is it that I need to heal? What is it that I need to be different, right? What is it that I need to be my boundaries, knowing that I am so busy, knowing that I do have so many things that are going on? Now is the time for you to actually create the foundation so that you can actually build healthy relationships from here. Let me be clear here before I keep going that the work I'm talking about doing, this has nothing to do with you earning the right to be loved and earning your way into deserving healthy, romantic, passionate, intense romantic love with somebody else. I think those of us who are perfectionists and those of us who have been raised in very codependent and emotionally neglectful households, that line of thought just reinforces that narrative that we have to heal enough and we have to be 100% to make sure that we'll never get rejected and no one will ever hurt us again, and only by us being the right size and the right height or the right weight or looking the right way or being the right amount of loving or I don't know, loving Jesus enough or whatever your belief system is, that we have to be something in order to earn love. And that is not true at all. Imperfect people find and fall in love every day. Imperfect people are swept off of their feet every day. Imperfect people get married and build loving relationships with other imperfect people every day. I work with women all the time, women who are either at the beginning of their healing process or in the middle of their healing process, and they meet wonderful partners who dote on them and love them and take care of them and cherish them. But what the truth though is, on the other side of that, is no matter how wonderful that partner is and how much they try to love them, if that person does not feel lovable, if that person does not feel worthy, it's really hard for them to receive that. It's really hard to believe all the compliments and all the affirmations that you're beautiful if you don't feel that you are. It's really hard for you to believe that this person is actually truly here to stay and truly someone that you can trust if you have unresolved trust issues and trauma and barriers to your heart, right? And so this is why it is so important that if you want healthy partnerships and healthy love, that you work on building those foundations today, right now, if you are not partnered. And if you are partnered, that you continue to do the work. Sometimes it's not them. Sometimes it's us. Sometimes the things that they are trying to give don't hit right and don't feel right, not because they're not putting in the right amount of effort, not because they're not attending to your needs, but because we're trying to get their actions to fill a hole that they never created, that they were never the ones in charge of. So it's up to us to be clear about what it is that we actually want and why are we asking for it. Is this because it is something on top of what I'm already giving myself? Is this a basic need that every partner should be giving us? Because what I want to say before I keep going from there is sometimes those of us who are known to ask to require less in relationships, you'll hear me or another teacher say something like that, like maybe it's a you thing, maybe it's not them. You'll hear us say that and be like, okay, well, maybe I am asking too much in this relationship because you're with someone who's toxic and they are not treating you with the basic regards of respect and fidelity and love and adoration and care. And what I don't want you to do is to go back to that relationship and continue to be disrespected and continue to feel abandoned and continue to feel alone and continue to just feel not taken care of. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you have a partner who is healthy, who is faithful and loving and thoughtful and caring, and they are trying to speak to you in your love language and they're trying to communicate and connect, and you're still saying no or it's not enough or you're not letting them in, maybe that's a you thing. Maybe that has nothing to do with whether or not they need to say it in the right way or do it in the right way. Maybe this has to do with your ability to receive, your ability to be loved on. So, if those are the problems, what is the solution? Well, the first solution, the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to be honest with yourself about your desire to be in relationship and be in partnership. Again, something I see so often is women will say, well, it's not the right time for me, and I'm going to focus on these other things, and then I'll get back around to it, or I'll come back to it when I have time. And that's not true. And I know it's not true because the same women who say they don't have time, when they do meet someone, or someone does ask them out, or someone does want to treat them and take care of them, now they have the time to 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 invest in that relationship, right? And they'll be in partnership with this person for whatever period of time. But if those underlying patterns and those underlying red flags and those underlying issues that have been causing you to avoid relationships this whole time have not been addressed, you're only going to repeat those same patterns in that next relationship, right? You've heard me say this before. In a room of 100 people, you are literally not going to be able to see the people who are healthy and available for you. And if you do see them, you'll most likely discount them as being boring, or not really attractive, or not your type, or all the other excuses that we say when we curve people. But the people who are very good at being intoxicating and seeming like a nice person at first, only for things to dissipate down the road, or things start off really great and y'all are really excited about each other, only for them to go ghost. Like, that's the pattern that keeps happening when we don't work on these things now, because we're constantly in relationship, y'all. You are always going to be in some types in relationships your whole life, whether or not they're friendships or family relationships or partners, relationships with romantic partners, and of course your relationship with yourself. And so if you are having any amount of stress or concern or fears about yourself, or insecurities about yourself, or insecurities about relationships, you bring that stress with you into other pockets of your life. And so being honest with yourself that if relationships are an issue for me, or if there's something that I want to improve, or if my relationship with myself is something that I want to improve, because I bring myself with me everywhere I go, now is the right time to start working on that, not later, right? Because once I feel better, I'm actually able to show up better in the world. I'm actually able to be more successful in my career, in my friendships, with my kids, with my partners, or in dating if you're single, right? So be honest with yourself is the first thing. The second thing is the type of transformation that you want to seek is not that you are no longer afraid of rejection, because rejection sucks, right? One of my great colleagues who I love very dearly talks about how rejection isn't real, and I love how she teaches it. But what I want to say alongside that is, even though rejection isn't real, it still doesn't feel good. Like, if you like somebody and if you want to be in a relationship with them and they are not feeling you in the way that you feel them, that can be disappointing. But rejection does not mean anything about your worth. It has nothing to do with whether or not the type of person or type of people that you want to be connected to would actually want to welcome you in. There are a million reasons why relationships don't work out that have nothing to do with you. Maybe somebody is actually just going through a breakup themselves and things are really messy. Maybe they have just experienced a tragedy and they can't focus. Maybe they are actually partnered, or maybe they are not attracted to someone who looks like you or is your personality style. But that has everything to do with their taste. There are people who are wonderful people in this world, people who you know, and you even know that they're great people, but they are just not your cup of tea for friendship or for a partnership or for anything else. And that has no knock on who they are. It's just there are different styles and different ways that people merge. But if you internalize that as there's something wrong with you, or as evidence of why you are not lovable, then that is the mindset that we have to break. That is the mindset that we have to let go and leave in the past, along with I'm too old. I've already been divorced. These things have already happened to me, and using those things to discount and disqualify you from the race. There are people of every age who get married every single day. There are people who have been divorced and get remarried. There are people who have 4 or 5 kids and get remarried and get repartnered, right? Because they have connected to and they've learned how to align to the right type of people. They've learned how to align within themselves self-acceptance and self-love. And because they're leading with that energy of just how amazing they are, instead of going on dates or going into relationships with people kind of apologizing for who you are. Like if you come into any type of partnership with someone and you're like, okay, here I am. I know it's not much, but, and I'm sorry about this, and I'm sorry about this, and I'm sorry about that, this trauma that I experienced. And, I'm sorry that I got a few extra pounds here, but, I promise I'm a wonderful person. You're not selling yourself very well. And it's really hard for you to sell yourself when you don't really like yourself. And so that's why our self-work is so important, because how we feel about us is what we bring everywhere we go. And the second place of transformation that we really need to seek towards is actually changing how we see other people, and the amount of distrust, the lack of belief that we have that good people exist, especially for my persons who are attracted to and who date men, persons who identify as men. There's such a common belief in the ecosystem that there are not any good men out there, that there's no more good people. And if there are, then they're either already partnered or married or gay and not attracted to you. And that is so not true. That belief system puts you at a deficit, actually, because it stops you from being available to healthy partners who are trying to be respectful, who are trying to approach you, who are trying to date you, because you've already come into the date, you've already come into the experience, you're coming into the relationship already thinking that men ain't shit. And it doesn't matter what they do to try to prove it otherwise to you. They are not ever going to be able to change that internalized core belief that you currently have, unless you are open to allowing that to change. I think what's actually true is that a truer statement is that the men that I have allowed myself to be partnered with and that I have been in their presence around, and I have been in romantic relationship with, those men have not treated me in the way that I deserve to be treated. Those men have gaslit me. Those men have cheated on me. Those men treated me in ways that were less than I desired. And I stayed in those relationships longer than I should have, because I did not know what healthy love and what healthy relationships were. And so I kept trying to make it work or give it the benefit of the doubt, because that's what I thought was the best for me. And that's what I thought was the best available for me. And I get that. And that is a truly painful experience that you do have to heal from and you do have to rebuild from, because it does start to create this narrative in your head that, is there something wrong with me, that in this relationship with this person, they treat me like this, but then I see that this is possible for somebody else. Why is it that I'm always in relationships with people who don't seem like they cherish me, that take me for granted, that don't see how wonderful I am? And the truth is, it's just because your radar is attuned to dusty people, to people who are just scrubs, to people who they may be financially successful, but they are emotionally scrubs, that they are people who are emotionally and unable to connect and to be honest and to be faithful, or to to stay committed for a long period of time. They're only there while things are good. And then when things are not good for them anymore, or when they see something better, they move on, or something that they feel is better, because they don't know how to have their own peace within themselves, right? So they're constantly looking for more, for more, for more, for more. But again, that's about them. That has nothing to do with you. What does have to do with you is changing that dial, changing that magnet, changing your attraction to people who show up with as that way energetically. Looking within yourself to say, okay, what is it about me that allows me to meet persons, men or women, but meet people who this is the exact same outcome every time. No matter if it's been 1 year between my relationships, 1 month, 5 years, or 10 years, this is what I keep getting. What is it that I need to look at and heal within me? Okay? Because there are amazing people out there. And you have to change your belief system to actually believe that that's true. There are amazing people available in the world. I just have to put myself in a place where I'm emotionally ready to receive them, and also put myself in a place where I'm emotionally available to actually get to know them. I've said this before that, with people who are securely attached, or people who have healthy boundaries, they may sometimes be able, if they are really, really excited about you and want to get to know you and see something that's really special about you, they may tolerate at the beginning you working through your trust issues, because they understand that things happen. They are emotionally evolved. They are mature. They know that people have pain and that they go through things. So they may at first be able to tolerate, okay, she's got some trust issues. Let me and be patient. Let me talk with her. Let me, just show up as my best self. But after a while, people with healthy boundaries, they have a limit. They have a place where they're like, look, I am being honest. I'm being true. I am showing up. I'm being consistent. And I need this to get to a place to where you actually see me and you don't punish me for the sins of people before me that had nothing to do with me. I am here and I am trying to be available for you, and I need you to let me in. I need you to show up. I need you to commit. I need you to not keep me as your friend on the side for an indefinite period of time when I'm over here trying to wife you up, right? Like, these are the things that a healthy person will eventually say to you, and they are fully in their right to say that. And if you are that healthy person who's listening to this right now, and you've been trying to give someone the benefit of the doubt, and you've been kind of getting weary, and you're like, I don't know how much of this I can take, for you, I want you to know that his or her work, whoever it is that you're partnered with, or their work, if it's a non-binary person, their work is their own. And you are only in control of your own boundaries. And so if they have their own trauma or mistrust that they have to work through, they have to be the ones to work through that. It doesn't matter how good you are or how amazing you are. Keep being good and keep being amazing. But just know that your love cannot heal their trauma. They have to do that themselves. So whatever you feel like you need to do or communicate, do that. And then see how the conversation goes and see where it takes you. But I just want to validate that it's okay for you to have a limit as well. So for my ladies who have listened to this episode and you're like, I have been afraid to try again, and I'm ready to actually start to build this foundation now. So maybe I'm not exactly ready to date right now, but I know that I'm ready to break this cycle so that when I am ready, I will already have a healthy mindset and I'll be ready. And chances are, once you start to heal these fears and start to heal those root causes, who knows? You may actually feel like you're ready because now you're feeling better. Or maybe you won't you are not ready because there are a lot of things happening in your life, but you know that the next time you enter a relationship, you want to have a sound mind. You want to know exactly what to look out for. You want to know how to show up in relationships and partnerships, especially if you are someone who's operating in love addiction and falling in love as soon as you meet somebody, or giving people the benefit of the doubt, or giving them too many chances. Or my love avoidant ladies who make it really hard to let people in, and you judge everybody, you find some reason to cut people off before you actually get to know them. Wherever you are in that spectrum, if you're ready to work on that, then the From Addicted and Avoidant to Available program is for you. I said that very quickly. Let me say it again. The name of the program is From Addicted and Avoidant to Available. That is my coaching program. That is how I help women work through this. We have group calls, we have individual calls, we have curriculum for you to work through, to unlearn these habits, to speak in community with other women who have been working through the same thing, to break that cycle for you. And we are enrolling in our current cohort. All you have to do is apply to join us, and you can go to blackgirlsheal.org/apply to join us. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope, as always, that for the rest of the week that you treat yourself as the prize that you are. And I'm sending you so much love. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Hey, so thanks for listening to today's podcast. If you enjoy what you learned today, it doesn't have to stop here. Check out the Black Girls Heal website at blackgirlsheal.org for more resources to help you heal from intimacy disorders like love addiction and love avoidance. The best time to start or restart your healing journey is now. You can grab a free copy of our 5-step roadmap to heal love addiction, love avoidance, and love deprivation by going to blackgirlsheal.org/roadmap. And if you're on social media, feel free to follow us at Black Girls Heal on Instagram and Facebook.